Hi, everybody. Oh, it is November 4, 2021. I didn't organize this video with all of the pages that I have open, but I don't think it matters. You know, I can't tell you how many videos I have posted on this, the race issue that is going on, that has been going on, that was, inflamed by none other than our first black president, Obama. But I hear the lies, the repeated lies, and the election in Virginia, it sure did bring out those lies. And I'm going to show you some of the, or let you listen to some of the lies, and then just go through some information disproving their lies. But I have to wonder why I keep doing this. Why? Because it doesn't seem like we get anywhere. Mainstream media, especially, they are literally driven by lying. Oof. Can you imagine living your life like that? Can you imagine that's how you get your paycheck? I just have to lie every single day. No zip moral character in them. And that really upsets me. So I'm going to start with this. Lieutenant Governor, the first black woman to be lieutenant governor in Virginia. And if you saw this speech, you would have noticed a whole lot of white hands. You don't become the lieutenant governor in Virginia as a Republican without a lot of white votes. But for some reason, white people are inherently racist. Wow. Yeah, it's that narrative that just never, ever dies. So listen just for a few minutes.
Voters in Virginia elected her to become the lieutenant governor of their state. Let's bring in Virginia's lieutenant governor-elect, Winsome Sears. Very good to have you with us. Congratulations to you on your win last night. It was wonderful to see you up there with your beautiful family accepting the lieutenant governor win. Tell me how you felt this morning when you woke up.
Tired. Literally, because I had only slept for maybe 2 hours, and here comes the media wanting to talk about the race. And I'm thinking, it feels like I'm campaigning all over again. I was losing my voice, waking up at 4 or 5 o'clock every morning and go, 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 go.
Yeah.
So where I thought I'd be able to sleep in, no, sir.
No, sir, indeed. So, obviously there's a lot of talk. You heard perhaps in the tease before our segment that you are the first woman of color, lieutenant governor of Virginia. And I thought it was very interesting last night when you just said, I'm black. If you haven't noticed, I think were your words. And then you said, but it's not about that. What did you mean by that?
Because we are framing too many issues in terms of race, and it just continues to divide us, and unfortunately politicians are using it as a tool because of the things that have happened to us historically to advance, I would think, their nefarious purposes. And so if we stop just looking at race and just looking at people, because you see, I'm destroying all the narratives about race. Look at me. I am a heartbeat away from the governorship in case anything happens to the governor. And how are you going to tell me then I'm a victim? And I didn't do anything special to get here except stay in school and study. I took advantage of the opportunities. They're available here in America. I wasn't born here. This is not my culture, not my country, but America allowed me to come and do for myself and for my family. And I remember when I was wanting to go to college, I had 3 children under 5 My husband took a lower paying job so he could stay home because he already had his degree. And I put one of my children on the back of a bicycle so that I could get to college. So no one can say to me, I don't know what it is to be poor. You're looking at the American dream. So we can do better. And it's not 1963 when my father came at the height of the civil rights movement, 17 days before Martin Luther King Jr. gave his I Have a Dream speech. We're better than that. We're always going to have problems. I understand that. I'm not saying we're perfect, but you can see those people at the border right now.
Well, I had a little bit of disagreement, but a whole lot of people don't understand all of the agendas that are taking place. Yeah, even politicians. All the people at the border who are crossing it, wanting to, live the American dream. Well, I just wish I could hear, oh, it's a deliberate agenda coming from the United Nations. But I also want you to hear another, just a few more minutes of this news segment. Joy Reid.
You have to be willing to vocalize that these Republicans are dangerous, that this isn't a party that's just another political party that disagrees with us on tax policy, that at this point, they're dangerous. They're dangerous to our national security because stoking that kind of soft white nationalism eventually leads to the hardcore stuff.
Your reaction to that, Ms. Sears?
I wish Joy Reid would invite me on her show. Let's see if she's woman enough to do that. I'd go in a heartbeat and we have a real discussion without Joy speaking about me behind my back, if you will. She talks about white supremacy. Does she know that I ran against a white supremacist? I mean, Joy, come on, get your facts straight and then come talk to me. I'm waiting for you.
We hope she'll take you up on it. You have a lot to say and a lot of people.
She's not going to take her up on it because Joy Reid has been asked by others, okay, Joy, debate. Let's debate. Critical race theory. Oh, and they never seem to take them up on a debate. Now, for any newscaster to ever say that the Republicans are dangerous, it's a national security issue, and Americans listen to this, what, do you believe Joy Reid? Could you possibly believe Joy Reid? She is a crazy, batshit crazy, along with this Nicole. They're okay. Oh boy, it's very scary. I just would love to see them off the stage. I would love to never hear them speak again. How is it possible that they continue? Well, we all know CNN is CIA. We all know they're pushing the agenda, the divide and conquer, get the races to hate one another. This is, they're beyond a disgrace. They're disgusting. These people are literally disgusting, repulsive beings who care nothing about anything but their own little self. Here, compilation.
Of Trumpism. Youngkin, same disease, but spreads a lot faster. It can get a lot more places.
These Republicans are dangerous, that this isn't a party that's just another political party that disagrees with us on tax policy, that at this point, they're dangerous. They're dangerous to our national security.
I think we also see the enduring power of the culture wars, and the Republicans are better at playing this game because it's essentially white identity politics.
We actually pass either infrastructure or the Build Back Better Act, the election in Virginia, where 2 weeks from now, perhaps Terry would have won.
This state did not turn into an enlightened blue state to a racist state overnight. That's how losers talk. That's how losers think the morning after the election. You call voters racist, even though they voted for Barack Obama and Kamala Harris.
The real ominous thing is that critical race theory, which isn't real, turned the suburbs 15 points to the Trump insurrection-endorsed Republican.
Now I think also the Republican playbook is to use these issues to scare people that everything's out of control with their children and they need to be protected from these people with this demagogues and this agenda.
Some of it was dog whistle racism.
This wasn't about those pocketbook issues. This was about how white kids feel talking about what black kids go through. Let's just call it what it is.
The virus, it was a very
low
not importance to many of the voters there. It was education, which is code for white parents don't like the idea of teaching about race. Race is just the most palpable tool in the toolkit. It used to be of the Democratic Party back in the day when there were Dixiecrats, and now of the Republican Party. It just is powerful.
His campaign promise, and he was making this promise in Loudoun and in Alexandria, is on day one, I'm going to ban critical race theory. That is like us banning the ghosts.
Right.
There are no ghosts.
I think that they need to form a coalition of parents to speak to other parents who see it the other way, who appreciate those diverse views.
You know, voter who wants to vote on what is fundamentally a racist idea, right? That you cannot teach the truth about Thomas Jefferson.
Racism raised its ugly head, and the Republican candidate used it very aptly. He followed the Trump playbook, use race, and get a win.
How much of this is a message just to the Democratic Party that it's too far left? If Thierry had been able to stick on a message of economic progress, maybe we wouldn't be making this argument.
This is a sonic boom of a wake-up call for Democrats.
Oh, God. I don't even know what to say. These people, okay. When these people can call Black Americans white supremacists, then I can call them white trash. And that's exactly what you're looking at. White trash. Right here. I don't care. I don't care how much money they make, where they live, their beautiful homes, their expensive clothing. White trash. You live your life lying? Really? Okay. And I don't even know what to call this. It's just beyond belief. It is so beyond belief. And do people get paid to post this crap? Toxic white people did this. Okay. You know, when things get really obvious, how do you even argue when everything is so... Now, first... Oh, God. All right. How can we be a systemically racist country when we have so many Black Americans who are very successful, well, such as this woman now. I'm not fond of this woman. I know what she did in the past, but now she's getting trashed for talking about race on The View.
Critical race theory. It's what MAGA Republicans running for office like Glenn Youngkin, who wants to be governor of Virginia, think will deliver them victory at the polls. And yeah, Youngkin wants you to think he's not a Trumpist, but on this issue, he definitely is. Just have a listen.
But friends, Dr. Martin Luther King called us all to be better than we are. He called us to judge one another based on the content of our character and not the color of our skin. And critical race theory is a political agenda that is absolutely in our schools. And it teaches everyone to view everything through a lens of race and then pits our children against one another. So friends, on day one, we will teach history, but I will ban critical race theory.
Ah, yes. Noted Martin Luther King Jr. scholar Glenn Youngkin.
It's trash. I mean, All they do is vilify the other team members. Now, okay, it's not real. Critical race theory is not real, is what Nicole said. Oh, it is so real. It is so real. You know, if adults in this country would just grow up, do some research to find out that these people are lying sacks of white trash shit, then maybe they would disappear. Maybe they would disappear. Okay. Wow. And how many people have quoted Martin Luther King Jr.? You know, I have a dream that one day that we will judge people based on their character, not the color of their skin. And this guy, this cheap little shit here, has to say he's a scholar. Oh, because you quote that which is quoted. But what do you do with this? What do you do with this? Unfortunately, we can't just ignore it. But I can't be arguing it anymore. This is it. I've posted some, old videos that were deleted based on the termination of my primary channel. On my other channels, Never Lose Truth 3 and 1. But I can't do this anymore. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's exhausting having to argue the obvious over and over and over again on the same issue that these people keep spewing. And it's unfortunate that we do have American adults who listen to this. They're walking the low road, and these people are keeping them there. That's what's really unfortunate.
Of course, it's all complete BS. Critical race theory isn't taught in Virginia schools or in any K through 12
He's lying through his teeth.
Schools in this country. It is a university-level law school course examining the ways in which racism as a structure is embedded in our legal system and our government policies. But for Republicans, it's become shorthand for anything about race or racism, about the teaching of slavery or civil rights that I don't like or makes me uncomfortable. In fact, while the Trumpists continue to get hysterical about CRT at school board meetings, smarter, less Trumpy Republicans are pushing a pretty similar message.
Now all Republicans are Trumpers. A Trump is a code word for a white supremacist. Trump is the code word now for Republican. Trump is the code word for racist. And Trump had nothing to do with this campaign or the election.
But in a much savvier, more moderate-sounding way. Let's not obsess over race or racism, they say. Let's not divide people, especially our kids. Just listen to Republican Condoleezza Rice, former National Security Advisor and Secretary of State under George W. Bush, one of the architects of the Iraq War and CIA black sites, speaking on, of all places, The View yesterday.
There's been this sort of rollback of history. People want to hide history.
Oh, I don't.
And,
come
yes, that is true.
45 seconds, guys.
And what we are seeing is this rollback of history. Parents don't want children to hear about the real history. And when we teach children about the real history, I think that is when we will really have true racial reconciliation.
People are being taught the true history, but I just have to say one more thing. It goes back to how we teach the history.
That's what I'm saying.
We teach the good and we teach the bad of history.
Yep,
but what we don't do is make 7 and 10-year-olds feel that they are somehow bad people because of the color of their skin. We've been through that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we don't need to do that again.
We don't want anybody.
Let's listen.
Any of that true? Or
yes, it is most definitely true. Because kids are being told in school, if you're white, that you are inherently racist, and some have even gone as far as to say they're evil. Now, this piece of shit right here cares nothing about anything but his own little self and his pocketbook. He is abusing children. All of these people are child abusers. Yeah. Oh my God. Let's listen to this.
Glenn Youngkin played the race card for a reason, because he knows it works on certain white voters.
He did stoke white grievance politics to mobilize the Republican base.
He's laundered Trump's really sort of disgusting, flagrant out racism. He's wrapped it in education.
Education, right, which is code for white parents don't like the idea of teaching about race.
That's the fundamental problem for these parents and this anti-CRT movement. They don't like the way whiteness is being portrayed in these new, more inclusive lessons.
This wasn't about those pocketbook issues. This was about how white kids feel talking about what black kids go through.
The subtext of all this was, we can't let these black and brown people run the country.
Glenn Youngkin running on critical race theory that he knew hit a chord around race.
I think all the CRT stuff is trumped up dog whistling.
Some of it was dog whistle racism.
The dog whistle messaging that you saw Youngkin engage in during the course of the campaign.
CRT is in the latest line of school busing, crosstown busing.
I can't listen to this lie. I cannot listen to this lie. Okay? 7th grade for me was when busing started in New York City. And he is now saying that CRT is like busing? Bullshit! Are these people are not stupid. They're just they're the paid soulless, narcissistic people pushing the agenda. Why can't Americans see this? Now, an awful lot, and more are beginning to see it. But if it was a majority, then, and if that majority was speaking out, taking actions to stop this, then we could see real movement. Now, let me just say this also. Youngkin wants to ban CRT. And so does the Lieutenant Governor, Sears. Will they forego the federal funding? That's the problem. Our federal government, the Department of Education, bribes states. So, you want millions and millions for your schools? Implement our curriculum, which is CRT. That the code words for CRT: equity, inclusion, diversity. Oh, wow. Watch. This happened in Oklahoma.
You can visit them, reclaim them, and then rename them.
To be white is to be racist. Period.
Half of my family is Hispanic, so I just felt like, him calling me racist just because I'm white, I mean, where's your proof in that?
Am I racist? And I say, yeah. I don't want to be. It's not like I choose to be racist. But do I do things because of the way I was raised?
I felt like he was encouraging people to kind of pick on people for being white.
Why is it okay to demonize one race, to children that you're supposed to be teaching a curriculum to?
Okay. These teachers are saying this in schools all over the country. You want to listen to this thing here? You want to listen to this thing here? You want to listen to people saying it's not real? You want to listen to people who claim that, oh, it's white parents who don't want to talk about race? You want to listen to that idiocy? Go ahead. Go ahead. But there is you take a look in the mirror, please, and recognize that something is very wrong with you. You want to be trash like these people? Go ahead, listen to them. You know, I can't stand this. It's like, all right, critical race fragility. The left has denounced the war on woke, but it is afraid to defend the principles of critical race theory in public debate. Now, they claim that the Republicans don't want to talk. Bullshit. New York Times columnist Michelle Goldberg attacking my work. Christopher Rufo, who is really the lead researcher, and he is. Go to his site. It's all about, fighting what is happening in our schools. So, attacking his work, saying, quote, leading the conservative charge against critical race theory, unquote, declaring that the right wants to ban critical race theory because it is afraid to debate it. This is false, of course. For more than a year, prominent black intellectuals, including John Glenn Loury, Wilfred Riley, Coleman Hughes, have challenged the critical race theorists to debate. None have accepted. After Goldberg published her column, I called her bluff even further, challenging to debate any prominent critical race theorist on the floor of the New York Times. No response. No response. Because the whole critical race theory is a hollow, hateful theory that should not be indoctrinating the young. And that's exactly what it is. We have students who don't even know how to read in junior high school. And this is what they're focused on. 9 things to know about Illinois' pending culturally responsive K-12 teaching mandate. Changing the standards. The rules and standards for how teachers are trained, licensed, and reviewed. In general, those rules are about competency, but do not impose any political or ideological belief system on teachers or their curriculum. Well, Illinois State Board of Education wants to change those requirements, and I don't know. This was a while ago. It was a bookmark for me, February 2021. Did they change them? I don't know. But what now? Well, the new standards would be called culturally responsive teaching and leading standards. They would largely replace the old apolitical focus on critical thinking with requirements that encourage progressive viewpoints and perspectives. If you don't have progressive viewpoints, you won't be hired in Illinois. Well, don't you think that suddenly the Department of Education has become rather, blue, left, Democrat, pushing this agenda? And if you can't see the agenda for what it is, it's remarkable. University of California system will no longer consider SAT and ACT scores for admissions. Equity, inclusion, diversity. Equity means lowering the standards so that everyone is low. keeping the students low. That's what equity is all about. Keeping those students who, do you know how many advanced classes have been canceled all over the country? Advanced classes in junior high and high school? Yeah, cancel them. Oh, because apparently the black students can't achieve what the white students, well, I know a lot of black students who've gotten into those advanced classes. It's called pulling everyone down. So everyone is on the same level. This is so flippin' insane. Harvard Medical School signals plans for anti-racism curriculum. Do you think it might be an agenda? White people, you are the problem. AT&T, new racial re-education program, promotes the idea that racism is uniquely a white trait. They have a racial re-education program. The company's initiative, they call it the Listen Understand Act. Sounds kind of like they're a government, huh? Well, that's pretty much what we're living now, is corporate governance. CEO John Stankey launched the program last year and subsequently has told employees that private corporations such as AT&T have an obligation to engage on this issue of racial injustice and push for systemic reforms in police departments across the country. That's what employees at AT&T are encouraged? No. Managers at AT&T are now assessed annually on diversity issues with mandatory participation in programs such as discussion groups, book clubs, mentorship programs, and race re-education exercises. White employees, the source said, are tacitly expected to confess their complicity in white privilege and systemic racism, or they will be penalized in their performance reviews. As part of the overall initiative, employees are asked to sign a loyalty pledge to, quote, keep pushing for change, unquote, with suggested intentions such as, quote, reading more about systemic racism and, quote, challenging others' language that is hateful, unquote. Quote, if you don't do it, the senior employee says, you're considered a racist. On the first page of AT&T's Listen Understand Act internal portal, the company encourages employees to study a resource called White America. If you want to know who's responsible for racism, look in the mirror. The article claims that the United States is a racist society and lays out its thesis plainly. Quote, white people, you are the problem. Regardless of how much you say you detest racism, you are the sole reason it has flourished for centuries. The author, Daleen Glanton, writes, quote, American racism is a uniquely white trait and that, quote, black people can't be racists. White women, she claims, have been telling lies on black men since they were first brought to America in chains, and, along with their white male counterparts, enjoy the opportunities and privileges that white supremacy affords them. Holy shit! AT&T encourages employees to participate in a 21-day racial equity habit challenge that relies on the concepts of whiteness, white privilege, and white supremacy. The program instructs AT&T employees to, quote, do one action per day for 21 days to further their understanding of power, privilege, supremacy, oppression, and equity. The challenge begins with a series of lessons on whiteness, which claims, among other things, that white supremacy is baked into our country's foundation, that whiteness is one of the biggest and most long-running scams ever perpetrated, and that the weaponization of whiteness creates a constant barrage of harm for minorities. Wow. You know what really pisses me off? We've come so far, and now these people are literally trying to take us backwards and keep us cemented there. They are the true racists. Here you can see all of the documents. I also have a number of... Here, the playlist that I have. This is Never Lose Truth 1. CRT, teachers acquitting over the curriculum ideology. If it wasn't real, what, are these teachers just crazy? That's what they want you to believe. CRT, the elite funding curriculum is why school boards no longer listen to parents. And part 1, and well, I have part 2 and part 3. I've posted so many videos on, because they claim it's the white parents, right? That's what you heard from these pieces of trash. White parents, white parents, white parents, white parents. It is not. It is so not. It is so not. You know, so many black parents are just as upset with this. Why wouldn't they be? Their black children are being told in school, you're oppressed and will never ever be able to do anything with your life because of that white student sitting next to you who used to be your friend, but now you hate one another because you've been indoctrinated to hate one another. Isn't it just fabulous? Education is code. It's code for white parents not wanting to talk about race. The redefining of words has just been really quite a marvel. And here you can see how sick our public school has become. You know, Smith College forcing acceptance of dangerous lies. If this wasn't real, why would somebody who works at Smith College have to quit? Because she didn't go along with the program of admitting, that she was a racist. Everybody, everything has now become race. We were not this country. We were getting out of this. And they're forcing everybody back into it. So, AT&T, how about Walmart? The company's new training program tells hourly employees that they are guilty of internalized racial superiority. Do you think there might be an agenda to get the races to hate one another? FBI adopts a CRT training program as it suppresses parents who oppose CRT. Yeah, don't you love the gaslighting? Don't you love it? Yes, sick the FBI on those parents who are opposing CRT at school board meetings, call them domestic terrorists, claim it's not even real, but then adopt a CRT training program. How about CVS? Launches a program that forces hourly employees to discuss their privilege. A Google employee program claims that America is a system of white supremacy and that all Americans are raised to be racists. Verizon, critical race capitalism. Verizon teaches employees that America is fundamentally racist and promotes a variety of left-wing causes. Bank of America. The financial giant teaches that the United States is a system of white supremacy and encourages employees to become woke at work. Okay. Yeah. American Express. American Express teaches employees that capitalism is fundamentally racist, then asks them to deconstruct their racial and sexual identities. we have become a batshit crazy nation, gaslighting everyone, pointing the fingers. You're the reason for this systemic racism that we made so much headway to get out of, and they're pushing us back. If adult Americans don't get what's going on, they win their game. So Christopher Rufo, he also has articles on Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Disney. Yeah, they're all getting with the program. It's a corporate-driven. It's so perverse, it's beyond belief. The obvious is the government officials, the mainstream media reporters, the leaders, what we see. I mean, how the hell did Joy Reid get here if we are a systemically racist country? How did you get to be on MSNBC, which is a joke? It's not news anymore. You just listen to this ranting and based on lies. How'd you get there, Joy? How did you get there? Unbelievable. I can't. It's like, okay, this is Christopher Rufo's website, and I hope you bookmark it. The articles are fabulous. They're written very well, and he is keeping tabs on CRT that apparently is not real when, it's so real, you can feel it. Baltimore student who failed all but 3 classes in 4 years was ranked in top half of his class. Wow. Schools are doing really well, aren't they? And they're going to be focusing on this race stuff when you have these students failing basic math, science, English. Forget about. Let's get rid of all of the literature and let them read pornography, which is what is actually happening. You know, I don't. They're not too young to talk about race. Yes. And I can't read this. Let me see. Oh, I've buried my magnifier. But, yeah, they claim that racism is so inherent in white children that they become racist before they're even a couple of months old. Whoa! Really? Really? White parents can talk to their kids about race. Here's an age-by-age guide for white parents to address racism and privilege with their children. How about this? Strategies for racial equity. Jefferson County Public Schools. These are the code words for that CRT. It's so... I don't... It's just beyond belief that we are living what we're living. 6th grade choir teacher separates kids into privileged and targeted groups in lesson on oppression. But that asshat claims that what Condi Rice was saying was not true. That piece of trash. This is happening. And it's ripping these kids apart. You know, kids who could care less about the color of skin, friends, and how many, I mean, I've seen and read about friendships No longer, because of what they're being told in school. Public school instructs third graders to deconstruct their racial and sexual identities to understand power and privilege in third grade. But it's not real, and it's not happening. Las Vegas charter school sued for critical race theory. Yeah, okay. Parents are suing schools, I guess because they have so much money and they can pay attorneys for that critical race theory. That's just not happening. Right? Yeah. How California is embracing mandatory racial injustice study for all of its 1.7 million high schoolers. It's the same thing. Records request reveals whiteness in ed spaces. Affinity groups at Wake County Public Schools, a middle school, and this was back in 2020. The records request included all materials, vendor payments. Did they get them all? I don't know. But, well, here's some of them. Unbelievable. Whiteness in Ed Spaces session notes also talk about how to shut down any parental pushback. Here, an excerpt. You can't let parents deter you from the work. Mission statement, preparing students for the real world. Some students learn within school about the real world due to not learning at home about diversity, race, LGBTQ. What do we do with parent pushback? White parents' children are benefiting from the system. They are perceiving that they are going to lose something. Fear of loss, hard to let go of power and privilege, loss of power. You tell this to kids and then they come home. What are they thinking about their parents? What about the biracial? What about the biracial students and then come home? What? Well, which one is the oppressor and which one is oppressed of my parents? Holy shit, man. When a newly elected school board member stood up to oppose teaching critical race theory, she got slammed. Elizabeth Cady. This was in Vermont. And she did get slammed. And in fact, I don't think she's on the board anymore. Critical Race Theory briefing book. You want to learn about critical race theory? Go ahead, read this article. All whites are racist. You know, American Medical Association embraces critical race theory or rejects meritocracy? Merit? What? Oh, so you don't care about the skill of your doctors and how they're doing and how hard they work and what? Loudoun County Public Schools teaching critical race theory when you heard from Terry McAuliffe, you heard from all of those mainstream media reporters, you heard from Obama who made fun of the white parents who are causing the stir for no good reason, right? Oh, well, look, I don't know what to do anymore. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. I just feel sick about what is taking place. I'm, it's none of it is good, to say the least. People aren't listening to scholars like Dr. Carol Swain.
Carol Swain, former professor at Vanderbilt University of Political Science and Law and a good friend to the program. Doc, we've had you on before to talk about this, but now even if you speak out against critical race theory, you are going to be canceled. And I know that happened to you with Facebook because you're speaking out about this big race divide that the left wants us to believe is happening in this country and systemic racism, which again, I don't think what they're saying in D.C. coincides with what's happening on Main Street, USA.
Yeah, that's right. Facebook has barred me from doing Facebook Lives for 30 days. And it is the case that when I do a Facebook Live or Instagram Live, that lots of parents and people concerned about critical race theory will ask me my opinion about race relations and what should be done. And I can tell you that critical race theory, as they're teaching it in this country, it is racism itself. It is white supremacy because it argues that all white people are oppressors, that they have a property interest in their whiteness, that they have to be forced to become anti-racist. And in many cases, they are violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Equal Protection Clause. The civil rights laws protect white people as well as every other group.
I got to ask you about this too, because it seems the woke left who says, you know, racism is everywhere in this country and the biggest threat is white people. Of course, the last week or so, the narrative the media jumped on the bandwagon with, which now they'll probably leave it on the back burner because now we have a new gun attack, gun violence, and that's Asian American attacks. We pulled the stats. It went up to 100 and some. It was 49 or 50 last year, so it did double. But the majority of those 100 and some attacks last year in 2020 were committed by black individuals on Asian Americans, not whites, which we don't see any of those in the headlines either. So they don't give you the facts, and then they just skew the narrative now for yet another race, trying to pit that minority against whites.
Well, the biggest racism against Asian Americans is occurring in colleges and universities where they are being discriminated against when it comes to admission, promotions, and awards. And I think the Democrats are using an isolated attack that there's no evidence that it was motivated by hate as a way to take people's mind off the real discrimination against Asians that's taking place. And when it comes to black hate crimes, they are not labeling black crimes against other races and ethnicities as hate crimes, and I think they should. There is a double standard there that's been troubling to many Americans for a long time. And if you were actually to label all the crimes committed by black youth against people of other races and ethnicities, and not just the youth, there's some older people doing it too, we would be horrified, and we would not be able to deny that there's a serious problem taking place, and it's not just racism running in one direction.
Yeah, we just put up some headlines while you're talking. Leave them up, guys. Several stories we found over the last couple of weeks.
All right, you know, I wish our country was not, you know, so morally bankrupt in terms of the lying, in terms of the people accepting the lies, in terms of, you know, this idea that I don't have to do any work. I just listen to mainstream media, my government officials, and I submit and I believe and I accept everything that they're saying, you know, which is, it's remarkable in itself, but it's a reflection of how sick, how mentally and spiritually sick are we, you know, as a people, as a nation, as a society. All right, I will link below to other videos that are on this site that that someone else has posted. All of my Never Lose Truth videos that YouTube deleted when it terminated my channel. And this is, hang on for 1 second. The name of this video is, in an effort to purge insane from my head, more insane. Yeah, everything now it just comes down to being racist or sexist or misogynist or transphobic. I'm so sick of it. I am so unbelievably sick of how sick is our country. Here, morally reprehensible, an understatement. This was part 1. I have part 2 and part 3 on Never Lose Truth 3, but I couldn't post this because I mentioned something about that thing that people are wearing on their face. And how about the mainstream media's divide and conquer based on race? Obvious, hard to believe any American listened to what they spew. And that was a year ago. Some years I've been posting this for years. And how about, you want to talk about these kids being indoctrinated, and the indoctrination is to create social justice warriors, not to teach them anything, to create activists. If you are rolling your eyes at what I'm saying, you're ignorant. That's all. You're ignorant. And look into what is happening. Teacher tries to force social justice warrior view upon student. And student clearly is more intelligent. How about teachers of elementary school? Scary danger to children. Does anyone listen to scholars anymore? So, in this video, yeah. I have the intelligent. Examples of intelligence. John McWhorter. And Thomas Sowell. Which, what's really scary, people don't even want to hear about Thomas Sowell anymore. On the history of slavery. Listen to a brilliant scholar. Guarantee you will learn something. So what our mainstream media people and our politicians on the left, what they're spewing is total just bullshit, lies, making it up. The gaslighting is so sickening now, reaching a fever pitch. The real history of slavery. Here is a video of the Beechwood, Ohio school board meeting. Parents upset with critical race theory. Many scared to speak up. And guess what? You have a lot of black parents who are very upset about what is going on in the classroom. Their children not being taught anything, but being taught to believe that they're oppressed and the oppressor is actually in the classroom. The oppressor, just look at the skin color, white. I can't stand what's happening. I can't stand it. I've been doing this too long. In the hopes of things getting better, but things never get better. And then to come across, some purposely because I checked it out, but a whole lot just, it's there, okay? The Virginia election. I hate that we're being pulled back. We're being pulled back. They're creating the racist country that we used to be. Again. And the only people who can stop it are the American people on both teams. The parents. You have to understand what's happening with the school board meetings. That there are people behind the curtain pulling their strings. They, no moral core, doing what they are told by the billionaires that are reimagining education for the Great Reset. They are setting up all of us to hate one another based on race. You ain't going to get me there. I'm sure You're not going to get an awful lot of people there. But this continues year after year after year, and it really, who started it? Obama. And it's been ongoing ever since. But what it really shows, what it is a reflection of, is how badly damaged are the American people. That this continues, it is a reflection of the American people. So, I will link below, not to the mainstream media clips, but everything else. Yeah, man, I'm so fed up. I'm so tired. Sure don't want to say what's going through my head, which is I feel like I'm about done not wanting to be done. But my move from Montana to Maine, I've reached a whole, I don't know what the hell is going on with me. I don't know. I don't have the energy. I just don't, I don't have the energy. I want so much to live in a healthy society. And I'm never going to see it. I'm shocked at how easily the American people were to be manipulated, gaslighted, bullshitted to. But a lot of it also is a reflection of how lazy Americans are and how they too really only care about themselves. Am I talking about everybody? No. Am I talking about the majority? Yes. It is the majority who manifests reality. And our reality ain't quite right. Whether you want to accept that or not, it is the truth. The majority manifests reality in every society. Look at our reality.